Well, here we are. Good morning. Good morning. You made it to day 5. How does that feel? It's quite an accomplishment, isn't it? It's a lot every morning. Good Lord. I'm glad you're here. We're checking to make sure everything is how it is supposed to be. Yesterday was a mess, was it not? I had to re-record the thing. Anyway, we had better get started or we are going to be over time. So, was the look, we're talking today about one of the craziest events of all time. In all of history, in all of the Bible, debated widely, angrily. Was the flood pure judgment or was mercy there too? Because most people hear this story and feel the weight of the waters before they ever see the ark. They see destruction, they see wrath, they see death, and they stop reading with their hearts already closed. Because if that's all you see, you won't just misunderstand the flood, you'll misunderstand God. Because this account is absolutely about judgment, oh, no doubt. But it is not only about judgment, it is about a holy God, the holy God, confronting evil while preserving the future of life itself. And that means mercy is not absent from this story. Mercy is moving through it. So tell me in the comments, when you think of the flood, what hits you first? Judgment? Mercy? Or both? Welcome back to the Bible in a Year, walking the story of God. I'm Dr. Shawn Michael Greener, and we're walking through the Bible in chronological order so you don't just read isolated verses. You learn to live inside God's story. This episode is brought to you by my book, True Word Faith for Life. Find it at truewordfaithforlife.com in the store. You'll also find my favorite Bible rebinder in the whole wide world, Moose Works Bible. Amazing. She is the best. Melissa's the best. The best I've ever seen. I've gotten 3 Bibles done by her, and they're extraordinary. Just nothing short of extraordinary. Well, my book will help you go deeper in your walk as you become a follower of the way. Now let's get after it. By the time we reach Genesis 6, humanity, it's not merely struggling, folks. Humanity is unraveling. The fall has spread. Sin has metastasized. Violence has filled the earth. Corruption is no longer private and occasional. It has become cultural, social, normal, systemic. Genesis 6:5 gives one of the most devastating assessments of the whole Bible. The Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. But Complete Jewish Study Bible puts it this way: Adonai saw that the people on earth were very wicked, that all their imaginings of their hearts were always of evil only. That is not a picture of a basically healthy world with just a few bad actors. That is creation collapsing under human rebellion. That is what happens when people no longer reflect the character of the God in whose image they were made. And this is where we need the Hebraic and ancient Near Eastern frame. Moses is giving this to Israel so they'll understand the God who brought them out of Egypt. He wants them to know that Adonai is not like the pagan deities of the nations. In the wider ancient Near Eastern world, there were flood stories. Oh, of course. But those stories often portrayed the gods as petty, divided, irritated, and morally unstable. But in Genesis, the flood is not divine moodiness. It is not heavenly irritation. It is not a cosmic temper tantrum. It is moral judgment. The earth is filled with violence, ruin, and destructive corruption. That matters because the flood isn't God lashing out at inconvenience. It is God confronting what is destroying his world. Now, listen carefully to what the text says next. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Do you see that? Before the first drop of wet judgment falls, grace is already in the story. Before the ark floats, before it even floats, mercy is already moving. Before the world is washed, God has already made a way to preserve life. And that means the flood can't honestly be read as judgment without mercy. The text itself won't let you do that. Grace appears before the rain, mercy appears before the destruction. God is not reacting blindly. He is acting judicially. And even in judgment, he's making a way for the future. The ark matters more than many people realize. The ark isn't a side note. It isn't a lucky escape hatch. It is a theological statement. God judges corruption, but he also preserves a remnant. He confronts evil, but he does not surrender the future. He carries forward the possibility of renewed life. That remnant theme runs all through the Bible. It matters in Noah. It matters in Israel. It matters in the prophets. It matters in exile. And it matters all the way to Messiah. God repeatedly shows that when human rebellion threatens to consume everything, he preserves a line, a people, a future, because his purposes will not die in the floodwaters of human sin. Now let's get even more honest. A God who never judges evil is not merciful, he is indifferent. If violence is never confronted, then the violence wins. And the violent win. If corruption spreads, if wickedness is never judged, then the innocent are abandoned. That is one of the hard truths modern people don't like to face. We often want mercy defined as non-interference. We want love without holiness, patience without consequences, kindness without truth, but the Bible won't let us shrink God down like that. Real mercy sometimes requires confrontation. Real goodness sometimes requires judgment. If God never judges what destroys life, then evil becomes the only mercy left standing. And that is exactly what the flood shows us. God is not cruel. God is not cruel because he judges what he destroys. He is good because he does. Oh, don't miss that. God isn't cruel because he judges what he destroys. He is good because he does. And yet he doesn't judge as one who delights in ruin. He judges as the holy creator whose world has been desecrated by human evil. And even then, he preserves Noah, Noah's entire household, the creatures, and the future of the earth. So the flood is not the opposite of mercy. It is judgment in which mercy is still active. It is severity with purpose. It is holiness making room for life to continue. And then comes the covenant. And that is where the story becomes even clearer. After the flood, God establishes covenant with Noah. He sets the bow in the clouds. The rainbow isn't sentimental decoration. It is covenant language. It is God binding himself by promise. It is the Creator declaring that the waters will not again destroy all flesh in the same way. That means the final note of the flood account is not destruction. It is covenant stability. It is mercy. It is divine commitment to the world he made. God doesn't merely end destruction. He reestablishes moral order and covenant stability. The flood is severe, yes, but it does not end in chaos. It ends in covenant. It ends in the God of heaven saying, in effect, the future will continue because I will sustain it. Now, bring that into your life carefully. Some people call every hardship judgment. That's a mistake. Others refuse the category of judgment altogether. That's also a mistake. Genesis won't let you live in either error. God does judge, and God is merciful. And sometimes what feels severe is actually God refusing to let deeper destruction keep growing unchecked. Sometimes the pain of interruption is mercy. Sometimes the stopping is mercy. Sometimes the exposure is mercy. Sometimes the collapse of what was corrupt is mercy. That does not make pain easy. And it doesn't mean every hard thing in your life is a direct judgment, but it does mean you must stop using comfort as the only measure of God's goodness. You must stop using abundance as the only measure of God's goodness. Now, let me press that home. Have you been interpreting God through comfort alone? Have you been assuming that if God loved you, he'd never confront you? Have you imagined that anything severe most automatically means that he is harsh? What if some of what you've called harshness was actually holy mercy, refusing to let life drift further into ruin? What if correction isn't proof of God's absence, but evidence that he has not abandoned you? Those are not easy questions, but they are life-changing questions, because once you understand that judgment and mercy are not enemies in the character of the God, the Bible gets clearer, and so does your life. Here's the point. The flood is not a story of an unstable God losing his temper. It is a story of the holy God confronting radical evil while preserving the future through grace. That is why Noah matters. That is why the ark matters. That is why the covenant matters. And that is why this account still speaks with such force today. We live in a world that wants mercy without holiness, and love without moral truth. But the God of the Bible is better than the God of our preferences. He is holy enough to judge evil. He is merciful enough to preserve a future, and he is faithful enough to bind himself by covenant promise. I have for you today, day 5, a challenge and a choice. You can keep reading the flood as proof that God is cruel, or you can read it as proof that God will confront evil and still preserve a future through mercy. One reading hardens your heart, the other humbles it. One makes God look smaller, colder, and easier to dismiss. The other reveals him as he is: holy, just, patient, and mercy. So choose carefully. Read this account with both holiness and mercy fully in view. Because when you do, you won't trust God less. You'll trust him more deeply than ever before. If today's episode blessed you, if it helped you in any way, share it. Share the link. Share it on your social media. Share with your friends and family. Remember, this Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, I'll bring the first 5-day summary, deepening the widest truths we've uncovered together. You can also visit these teachings and follow the companion resources at truewordfaithforlife.com. My friends, the flood is not a story of God losing control. It is a story of God refusing to surrender the world to evil. It is judgment confronting corruption and mercy carrying the future forward. It is holiness making room for life. It is severity wrapped around covenant purpose. And when you see that, God becomes clearer, not harsher. This has been True Word, Faith for Life with Dr. Shawn. Until next time, Shalom B'Shem Yeshua. Shalom Aleichem.